from Two Ticks and the Dog Productions up above Dave Grohl Alley in beautiful downtown Warren, Ohio. Today, we've got special guest host returning from his Ron Book episode, Mr. Barry Burke in the house.
What's going on?
Welcome. Thank you for bringing...
Excited for this one.
I am too. Thanks for bringing some beverages from Modern Methods for us. I feel like these last couple shows we've had together, we've had some beers every time.
I think he should just run a line from his building to here.
He should just run a tap, yeah. Like in the wall. We could just
be perfect.
Spill it. Of course, this episode and season 2 is brought to you by Coates Car Care, the one and only, where if you visit coatescarcare.com, you can download their app on your iPhone or on your Android, and you can purchase single washes, gift cards, or even the unlimited wash program that they have, which is super awesome. And if you download the app and pay for it by your credit card on the app, all you have to do is hold your phone up to the window and they scan it, and you don't have to roll your window down. They've got great service. They're there. They started in McKinley Heights, which is Niles, Ohio, but they also have locations in Halland, Cortland, where Barry lives, Austintown, and Western Pennsylvania. But I want to spin it back real quick, right, to the McKinley Heights location where Coates began over 60 years ago. And our guest today is right across the street from Coates in McKinley Heights. He is the owner and proprietor of Record Connection, which is the hippest, independently owned record store in the Valley, and maybe, dare I say, in the state. I'm really building you up because you know what?
Stretch.
Yeah, maybe.
No, it's great.
But, you know, now you got something to really shoot for. Jeff Burke, welcome to the show.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
No problem.
How was your day today? What did you do at the Record Connection?
Well, I was busy. Very busy. I sold records. Of course, I sanitized my store 3 or 4 times. Sold more records. Sold a lot of CDs today, surprisingly. We get a day like that where it's a good mix. A lot of days it's, almost all record albums. Did some ordering, did the average record store guy thing.
Well, and you're doing a lot more stuff online now than you had in the past, right?
Yeah, I've added to it, actually, and that came about as the lockdown happened. I'm thinking, how are we going to make any money here? So I started loading up on Discogs and eBay a little bit and Amazon, but try to shy away from Amazon. They're crooks,
Really?
Yeah. They get 22% of my record sales. It's crazy.
No shit.
And they put on some kind of facilitator tax now. It's all BS.
Huh.
Jeff Bezos does not have enough money. He's got to kill the little record guy.
He's got to take yours too.
Yeah.
So when you're selling online, hopefully not much on Amazon anymore.
No, I'm
Shame on
away
you,
from
Jeff Bezos. Is it mostly vinyl, or is it CDs, or is it a mix?
Mostly records. We try to put the rarities up there, past record store day remainders. Not too much compact disc anymore. I have a lot of that stuff on Amazon that through the years things went out of print, and we decided, well, we can get more money on Amazon, but the fees keep going up and up and up, so I'm about done with Amazon.
So you started your record store what year?
1980.
1980, so you are 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah, October is 40 years, actually, since the doors opened. Prior to that, it was owned by a friend of mine by the name of Peter Infant, another Niles guy. And he managed stores for 2 of my other buddies that started White Wing Records in 1973.
Who are those guys?
They're also friends of mine. They're Niles guys, Rick Shea and
Kenny Antonelli.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ken did real well. He went on to be the CEO for Red Distribution, which is
It's a distributing art for Sony.
yeah,
right.
Sony's independent division. So Ken did real well. He was schooled by a Jewish gentleman that showed him the whole business and taught him a lot about money and how to run the show. So he was very successful. Not so successful in the record business, though. They had a bad reputation. They ripped off a lot of the. Back then, the suppliers were called one-stops, and most of those were mom and pops, just like you guys running it, and your brothers, and maybe your parents were the head honchos. So they burned a lot of those people, and I think they operated 4 stores in their peak, and they were scattered around Boardman, Niles, Hermitage, and then they had a place like in a head shop in Warren. I can't remember the name. Scorpio, it was called. Somewhere up on Park. It used to have leather jackets and all kind of neat stuff in the head shop, and then they put the records in there too. So they had a heck of a business going, and kind of started living high off the hog. They were buying Porsches and sailboats and going for hot air balloon rides and stuff.
Man, I'm in the wrong business.
Not kidding.
This
Yeah,
record
well,
business.
those were the good days. If you were getting into the record business in the 70s, think about it. It was mostly chain stores around here, National Record Mart, Music Land, and all the department stores had records too. They all had nice record departments. I don't care where you went. If you come into our store sometime, we leave the tags. Woolco's sold records, Hills, Kings, Carlisle's. These are all stores that were around in my day. I think even Strauss's might have sold records too. So if you got in and knew what you were doing back in the 70s, you'd bring the imports in, you bring the rarities, the collectibles. The big stores didn't do that. So you developed your little market there that you cornered, and that's what these guys did successfully, until they got wild with the money. And, some of it was going up their noses. And, let's face the facts, the drugs and music went hand in hand. And, we had friends that were DJs at WMMS, and we'd go up there on a Friday night. One of our buddies was dating a female DJ, and she'd open her drawer. Well, what do you guys want? And there'd be
Ludes,
reefer.
man, ludes.
I did ludes a couple times. They weren't for me, man. Talk about wrecked. But yeah, there would be all kind of stuff in that drawer. Envelopes with cash. There'd be Coke. And, there'd be pills. What do you guys want? Help yourselves. But that's just the nature of the beast back then. So,
Well, so did you buy their White Wing records
no,
off of them?
Actually, White Wing went bankrupt.
Okay.
And Pete Infant took over the original location. He was manager for the store, and he bought that location or the inventory out of bankruptcy. So he ran it for a while, and I think he got into some sales tax trouble. So we wound up buying the store inventory off of him. It was all we bought in 1980 for $13,800.
You still remember the amount?
Oh yeah. Well,
It's a lot of money in 1980.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of money right now.
Yeah, my mom and dad mortgaged the house, to get me the loan. So yeah, I remember it, $204.54 a month. I know.
What were you doing before in the 80s?
I was actually an assistant manager for City Loan and Savings, which was Ohio's largest savings and loan at that time. And then the savings and loan industry had a big blowout at one point. They were kind of broke. So I would go to work during the day at City Loan, and then at night I'd come in and run the record store. We used to be open from 10 to 10, 6 days a week, and then something like 12 to 7 on Sundays. So.
This is the current location where you're at now.
That location was the second location. We stayed where White Wing and Record Rack were on 46, 401 Vienna Avenue. I think it was 401.
Okay.
You know where Papa John's is on 46? Just up above, like Macaulay's Giant Eagle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tin Pan Alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we were for a while. And then we moved out of that location because it took me a while to figure out.
Not Tin Pan Alley, Gasoline Alley.
Gasoline Alley, yeah. Tin Pan, yeah. What am I thinking of?
Yeah.
I was there, too. But it was passerby traffic, you know, so it took me a little while to understand that people were en route somewhere else. You know, they knew about the store, but they would only come there for a record or a cassette back then, or even maybe an 8-track. So we weren't getting the shopper traffic. So I kind of figured out, you know, we got to be somewhere around shoppers.
Yeah.
So we made the move to McKinley Heights in May of 1983. I've been there ever since.
And there's been a lot of different places in that Pine Tree Plaza.
Oh, yeah.
Ron Crawford's was there. It was Woody's Gym before. They had a lot of traffic.
Nautilus.
Yeah, Cindy's Health and Vitality was there. Trini's Bar. I saw the Hagler Leonard, the last fight at Trini's Bar with my dad. I was probably, I don't even know, 11 years old or something.
Yeah, you had to be pretty young.
Yeah. And I think you were, I mean, I don't know if you were at the bar at that time, but I remember Record Connection being there.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have the neon lights in the window.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were the first ones to use the old neon lights. You know, nobody had those open signs, but ours is a real hand-blown open sign. It's not one of these
Sam's Club.
Sam's Club, or I was going to say Walmart, probably. You know, I don't even know. You know, or you mail order it. You know, but yeah, we have the real deal. And you know, I cleaned that thing one time after we first got there. You know, it got dusty, and didn't I break the damn thing?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so it cost me almost as much to have it repaired as what it cost me to buy the thing. But it's still in the window.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Well, it's the real deal sign. You're the real deal record store. What I always like, you know, you go to the big box stores because they have a massive selection, but they don't ever have a deep selection. It's always like the top 40 or the greatest hits, and they don't even have that now anymore, I don't think. I mean, I think the last CD I bought at Best Buy was maybe a country, you know, record, top 40 for my wife. You know, she's in the country. She's terrible taste in music.
Yes.
But, you know, they don't have a deep catalog. But you go to your store, and you'll find stuff that's deep. Like, you'll find the imports, and you'll find some of that other stuff. But something that Barry and I were talking about beforehand, and just trying to talk about what is the difference between an independently owned store, really in any industry, but an independently owned store versus a box store, is you walk into the box store, and it's a guy making, you know, whatever he's making, minimum wage or $10 an hour, and he's just putting the time in. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know your taste. You don't have a conversation with him.
Right.
You know, you go, hey, where's that Brett Dennen CD at? And he's like, who? Yeah. But if you go into Jeff's store at the Record Connection, Pine Tree Plaza, I'm going to just keep plugging it, okay?
Thank you.
You know, we talked about this earlier. I think I went to your store a month ago or whenever, probably pre-COVID. I don't even know when I got that CD.
Yeah, it had to be.
And I was looking for, I don't know if I was looking for Brett Dennen or Jack Johnson or...
I think it was Jack Johnson. That's what's kind of sticking in my head.
Oh, that's probably it.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, man, what do you got? And he said, well, you'd said, I think there was a couple CDs that I already had. And you said, check out this Marcus King band. And on a flyer, like, you know, I just went on your recommendation. I was like, all right, cool. I bought it, never heard of them before, put it in, love it. And actually, our buddy Dom Nicastro had turned me onto it before, but I had, you know, like I heard one song. Dom always makes these like Christmas mixtapes.
Yeah.
Or mix CDs. And,
fantastic.
Yeah, they're great, you know, great stocking stuffers. And they'll always have like 20 or 30 songs that he loves and he puts it on there. And they were one of them. But yeah, you turned me on. And you don't get that at a big box store, I guess is my point.
No, you kind of got it in the old days, you know, when there was just the chain record stores. You know, those people they'd learn your likes and your interests and kind of profile, you know, so they'd be able to turn you on to something when you came in. Hey, Did you like that last CD we sold you? Try this guy, So you're never going to get that in a box store.
No, I mean, a few years ago, for Christmas, my wife bought me a record player, and I came in and told you what I got, and you're like,
Right.
no, take it back. It's going to ruin all your records. And he's like, you're investing all this money into records. You need to go with this and this. So you're not just trying to sell a record. You're trying to help people out on their collections
Right.
and how to take care of it. And most people have no clue. And you saw on the internet, it was like 5 stars or something. But after time, you're like, that thing will destroy all your records. And once you start collecting records, it's an expensive hobby.
No, you better
and you
believe
want to
it.
take care of it. And majority of people have no clue. So when they come see you, every time I come in with a question, you always have an answer. And that's what's great. Like, I feel like I'm a pro at what I'm doing now. And
Well, if I don't know, I'm going to tell you too.
Yeah.
We're not going to try to BS you or anything like that. We built that store on reputation, product knowledge. Of course, I've forgotten a lot of it now at 65 years old, but I can still hang in there pretty good with the best of them. But I guess it's a whole new education process, because we have all new customers for the most part. I'm not seeing a lot of guys my age coming back and buying records, and a lot of them say, screw that, man, they got me on 8 tracks. They got me on records. They got me on cassettes. They got me on CDs. Now they want me to buy records again. Nobody is making you do anything,
Yeah.
If you still want to listen to music, check out some of these records. Oh, no, there's no way, But it's an education thing, especially with the young people. And we try to teach them how to handle the record even.
Well, give us a couple tips, while we're listeners out there.
The most disturbing thing I see is if anybody comes in to look at pre-owned records. We'll just talk about those for the first point. What they want to do is pull the record halfway out of the sleeve. You know the difference between the jacket and the sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, tell the listeners.
Okay, the jacket is the heavy cardboard.
It's got the art on it.
Yeah, and the sleeve is paper usually. Sometimes it's lined, and what they want to do is pull that record halfway out of the jacket and then halfway out of the paper sleeve and spin it to see if it's scratched or not. Well, now you're going to scratch it. Plus, you put your fingers all over it. And we tell them, records do not like fingers and thumbs. And they say, well, how are you supposed to get it out? Well, you take the jacket and you lay it down. Then you take the sleeve, the paper sleeve, and simply pull it away, and the record will pretty much just drop right into your hand. And your thumb is on the edge, and your fingers are on the label of the record. So there's an oil, in our skin that actually grows a fungus on an LP record. It's PVC vinyl, so you can't really see it, but I've seen it under a microscope, and it's gross. But that keeps growing, and every time the needle travels through that fingerprint, it's spreading it to the record, which consequently makes it noisy. So that's what you're hearing on a noisy record is the dirt. Wow. The stylus will play everything it comes in contact with, everything. Speck of lint.
Yeah.
Dandruff,
That's why you always got to close the lid when you put the needle down.
Yeah, you want to keep them as clean as you can. It's a little labor intensive, owning records, but I'm living proof. I have records that I bought, when I was a paper boy. I still have, so I don't know. What are you, 10, 11, 12 years old when you're delivering papers, so.
Is there any way to take care of those, like with a cleaning cloth, like microfiber or stuff like
there's
that
a lot
now?
of different options. There's cleaning brushes. There's microfiber brushes. There's what they call disc washers. There's record baths even. There's vacuums, which are very expensive. If you have that kind of money, ideally that's what you want is a record cleaning machine. But even a cheap one will set you back $500-$600. But it do wonders for your records.
Are you into that kind of work too? Do you do like any kind of like restoration type stuff?
What we do, you can't really restore the condition of a record. You can clean it, and we also bought an apparatus now to flatten warped records. And I'm getting pretty good at it, actually.
Is that with heat?
Yeah, it's two heavy metal plates. It's called, oh shit, I forgot. Vinyl something, vinyl flat. Yeah, that's what it's called. And this thing's heavy as hell. And you place it in would resemble a heating pad, so they call it an oven. And it's got 3 temperature settings. So if you're real careful, you can get that thing flattened out. I used to think it took a lot longer at a low temperature, so I have a new process now where I kind of figured it out. An hour at low, 35 minutes at medium, flip it over, and go back to the low temperature, and then back to the medium temperature. Then you have to leave it cool. And it usually comes out pretty flat. I mean, I've straightened out some stuff that's even been melted, which is damn near impossible to fix. Yeah.
Don't leave your records out in the sun, people.
Yeah, or on the front seat of your car on a sunny day.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely gonna melt those records. It's about I think it starts to soften at about 120.
Mm-hmm.
And cars get a lot hotter than that. Yeah.
Don't leave your dog in there either.
Yeah, darn
dipshits.
straight. Or
Barry was telling me about the needles are important too. Like the needles you get like at again, I don't want to pick on the big box stores, but needles you get at like a big store are not the same kind of needles that you'd use on a nicer player.
Yeah, the sky's the limit on that stuff, Jim. I mean, you can spend $10,000 on a cartridge and stylus.
Holy smoke!
And I don't know.
Now, when you say cartridge, is that the player?
No, the cartridge is just the apparatus that the stylus connects to that plugs into the tone arm. Those things are, there's gold ones. There's cartridges made out of wood, and there's elliptical styluses and conical styluses. So you need to know a little bit about those. But the sky's the limit, and they can really make a difference. I have about 3 different ones that I switch between, like a real good record, I put the best one that I have on, and, the dynamics are so much better and it's so much more pronounced and brilliant. And that fidelity is just like unbelievable. I was playing, I think it's Steve Miller's Book of Dreams. I found a pristine copy. Yeah, I found this pristine copy in somebody's records that they traded in, and I'm thinking, I haven't listened to this LP in a long time. And I put that thing on, and I was blown away. I couldn't believe. You could hear him breathing. You could hear his lips smacking. It was that clean. And that the instruments, you heard all the snare drum.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
You don't even get that on a CD.
Yeah, right.
You don't get everything that's on a CD unless you have the gold discs, or you have super audio, or something like that. But
DAT was real big for a while, right? Digital audio tape, that was at like 48,000 kilohertz.
Yeah,
it was CDs at 44.1.
Yeah, it was high end, but it just didn't do well. It didn't catch on with the public.
No, well, it was a weird. It's actually the same. It's the same setup as a DV, as a digital videotape. They're actually the same. I think they probably just took the design over and used it for digital video. Like when we used to shoot on XL1s or even on HD, that's what they took. Many DV tapes or DAT tapes. And I think
so. Those little cartridges.
Yeah. I'll show them to you when we wrap. But that was So I want to talk about that you mentioned that term fidelity, but even the difference between, because people are like, man, why do I want to buy a record? Why do I want this old technology? Put the needle on it, and I can just pop a CD in. I won't even get into downloads yet. We could talk about digital music and downloading and streaming. We were talking about that earlier, but what is the advantage from your standpoint for buying these clunky now I'm using other people's terms because I love the artwork in the jacket. Barry and I were talking earlier. I want to own the music. I want to have the catalog, because that's another thing too that if you're subscribed to a streaming service and that artist decides or that label decides not to be a part of that service anymore, you're paying for the service, but your favorite artist may be gone.
Yeah.
But when you buy the CD or the record or the cassette or the 8-track, if you're back in the 70s, you own the catalog. You know, you own their music forever as long as you have an instrument to play it on. The difference between analog, records, a record.
Right.
What's the advantage there? It's this big thing. I got to carry it around.
Well, if nothing else, it's a piece of history.
That's cool.
All right. And if you ask me, that's the correct format to reproduce music and listen to it. It's warmer. It's full range. It's dynamic. I mean, you get everything you should off of the record. Even the CD is slightly delayed, so you're not getting everything. With the record, it's right now. The source is your LP, and the needle is trapped right in that groove. It's instant.
It's magical.
Yeah, and it really
is.
And really, it's an experience. It's a conversation piece. If you'd come to my house someday and look at this room full of, I don't know, 8,000 albums.
We'll be over.
Holy shit, man. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a nice collection, too, and, sometimes I just go and turn the light on and look at it. I'm like, damn, look at all this shit. My dad's going to be 98, and I left home when I was about, the first time in my late teens. I ain't living here anymore, rebel. And then I finally moved out, permanently and got out on my own when I was probably, I don't know, maybe 20. By 24 and a half, I'm buying the record store.
Okay.
So, I was just...
You were a young entrepreneur, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Young Turk.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, I bought it as a hobby. I never thought, I'm never going to make a business out of it. I don't know anything about being in business. So I used to work at Republic Steel when I got out of high school. First paycheck went to the car payment and $50 a month for rent to the old man. So second paycheck, right down to White Wing. I'd come home with an armful of records. He'd look at me and he'd say, "What do you need all those records for?" I'd tell him, "I don't need them, Pop. I just want them." Mm-hmm. So it was like, I'm nuts, I'm just nuts for records from the time I was a little kid. I would ride my bike from Oak Knoll, which if you know the Niles area, it's up off of Robbins, Cleveland Street. It's up where Shepherd of the Valley is. That's our old neighborhood. They call it Mason's Woods. I don't know why. Because Mason Street is right where all the Italians were, and that's a little bit away.
That's where all my people were at.
Yeah, it's a few blocks, a few streets away from where we grew up. But I'd ride my bike downtown. There was Bernard's Music, and there was a 5 and 10, Woolworth's 5 and 10 store down there that had a nice music selection. And I think there might have been one other place, Ideals or something like that. But I'd hop on that bike, if new Beatles single would come on, ride down there. They were about 89 cents, I think. Maybe 49 now that I think back. They might have been that cheap even. Ride down there and get the new single and come home, and play the heck out of it, Of course, I was the only one that was allowed to play it. I didn't allow my brothers to touch my records, or I'd beat the snot out of them. And,
smart.
Yeah, well, they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, man, he kicked our asses." Yeah. And my mother used to warn him, "Just stop playing his records. He's wacky. Don't play his records." So, it was always that experience thing that attracted me to records. And like, man, listen to this thing. And I started out with the junky record player. I forget who made those things. BSR or something was one of the brands I can remember. I couldn't wait to get out of that, so I'm still delivering papers then, and I bought a Pioneer stereo system. Probably had the nicest system out of any of the kids on the street. And, I'm on my way then. After I got that thing, I'm buying records like there's no tomorrow. Like I said, every other paycheck, I'm coming home with 15, 20 albums. Of course, they were $2.99 to $4.99 for a brand new album. But, if you compare, gasoline was a quarter. So the real issue is when people tell me records are awful expensive today, I say, no, they're not. I reach in my pocket, I pull out whatever money I have cash in my pocket. Here's the problem. I show them, here's the problem. It doesn't buy anything, So, that's kind of where we're at price-wise today. It's 10 times the price of gasoline. So with the records, it's 10 times the price that they were, and it's just inflation. So.
What kind of music were you into when you were young, besides the Beatles? Like, as you started to mature before you got into buying the record, what were your groups?
I've always been into the Stones.
How many times have you seen the Stones?
56.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had tickets for 4 more. And, the two big punches in the gut this year for me were Record Store Day being postponed and the Stones being postponed. I'm like, oh, man, how much more can I take?
Now, 56 Stones concerts, that's not just like one a year. You're like traveling around. You're like a Stones, like a Deadhead, but what do they call that? Is there a term for that?
Stoner.
Yeah, stoner. Rolling stoner. I saw the first Stones concert in 75 at Municipal Stadium. It was a tour of the Americas. And instantly got hooked. I mean, I was already into the Stones. The first record album I ever bought was a Rolling Stones Got Live If You Want It from a neighborhood kid while I was delivering papers. Everybody had console stereo systems in their houses back then, and nobody locked their doors. Most people wanted you to open the screen door and set the paper down, right in their living room or whatever that door was where you brought the paper to. So I'd hear all kind of music. I'd hear big band, jazz, Italian music. I couldn't believe people from that town would say Italian.
Yeah.
So, I'd hear it all, rock, and I'm crossing, finishing up my route, and I'm crossing this yard, and this guy's cranking this rock music, and I didn't know what it was. So I knock at the door. His name's Sonny Painter. Sonny, what are you playing? He says, that's Rolling Stones. He said, you want to come in and listen to it? I said, no, I want to buy it. So I bought that record off of him for $3. It was the first record album I ever bought in my life because everything else I had was singles, and I kind of hate singles. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I have some, but, the LP I was attracted to it. So, once I had this good paying job, man, I knew I was set. I could buy records like, you're making back in 1974, working in the mill, making about $35,000 a year. You're living at home, and
That's
the buck goes.
You're a rich man.
The buck goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was, I had 2 cars, not 1, 2. I had bought an MGB, and I had this beautiful Pontiac Catalina in 1973 that I bought while I was in high school. And, it was good times. I mean, so as I got a little bit older, I never got away from the Stones. I got into, of course, Led Zeppelin. Lou Reed was one of my favorites. Probably right behind the Stones is David Bowie. I saw him at least, 30-plus times. Actually, when he passed away, The Vindicator did a front-page story, and guess who they interviewed?
You.
Yeah, they called Demos, actually.
Oh, Demos Papademos.
Yeah. Guy DeStofalo called Demos. He said, is there anybody you know that could tell us anything about David Bowie? Call Jeff Burke at the Record Connection. I think he's seen him a few times. Oh, yeah. So, I told him what I knew about Bowie, but I never really got into a whole lot of the punk scene. I have some punk records. I like Devo, so, if you look at that collection, you can kind of figure it out, you know, where I drifted to and, who I was checking out. And, I've got soul and R&B stuff, but,
What's the rarest album or rarest albums that you have? What's your like prize? You know, you get a couple prize ones where you're like, man, this is the cat's meow.
I have records that were made by a company called Mobile Fidelity. I have quite a few of those. And there was 3 box sets of Mobile Fidelity records that they released over, I don't know, in the 80s. I think most of them were in the 80s. There's a Sinatra, there's a Stones, and there's a Beatles box. Those probably, if I were to sell, would fetch the most money. They're original master recordings, real high quality, virgin vinyl.
What does that mean, virgin vinyl?
That's the best vinyl you can get, free of any flaws. Matter of fact, when you hold it up to a light, you can see through it. You know, it looks black in your hands down here, you know, but if you hold it up to the light, you see through it. Wow. That's how you can tell it's virgin vinyl as well. So those are done by a whole different process. You know, they're made right off the analog master tape rather than being pressed record to record, you know, tons of records being pressed off of one record. So they make so many. Then there's another master cut. They make some more. And they slow the speed down also to 16 RPMs when they're recording it. It plays back at 33, but the recording tape is slowed down.
So it's twice the amount of audio information?
Yeah. So you get this really, really dynamic record. You know, if I'll play one for you sometime when you come down the store. Even their CDs are really high quality. You swear they're standing right behind you. I mean, you get that imaging going, and they're hard to beat. But I would guess those probably to be the most valuable records I think I have. You know, there might be something lurking in that collection that I don't even. You know, I have some jazz records, maybe about 1,000 jazz albums. You know, and I never really checked the value on any of that stuff. But you know, I kind of know those mobiles. They're high dollar.
You know, you mentioned that word fidelity a couple times, and the idea that in some of those albums you can hear their lips smacking, or sometimes you're hearing the pluck of the guitar, not the actual note being played, but the string being hit. It makes a different sound. And there's an argument to be made. There was a Vox. I'll try to put it on our Facebook page, but there was a Vox article where they did a study where they, you know, talked about the difference between analog and digital. Now, for the listeners out there, digital music is compressed, right? So you're not hearing every frequency. There's all these intermittent frequencies, and they're compressing it. Maybe you're hearing half of them. When you get to vinyl, and people talk about like the warmth and things of that nature, but today's technology is so expansive, right, with digital, that this Vox article, I'll post it again, had mentioned that when they had people listen to these things, and the article talked about the data that was being recorded, like the amount of bits and bytes and whatnot, and that the digital technology is as good or better than this analog technology that they recorded the original records on. But you had mentioned like the press, how many, you know, we used to talk about in the video world, like what generation is that? That's like the 3rd generation copy of this particular thing. So it's been run 3 times, and every generation loses a thing, you know, loses some quality. Do you think that the vinyl resurgence is more about the sound and the music being better because you can hear some of that stuff, because some of them are, maybe they're virgin vinyl or they're pressed off the masters? Or is it more about the tactile, you hold the album rather than press a button and download it? You have the artwork, you have the liner notes, you know, you have all these different things. Like, do you really feel that the sound is that much better?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because what the record labels are doing, a lot of times is making an LP record with the same recording they used to make a CD. What's the sense?
Right.
Okay, so now you're not getting true analog. And I know there's some digital stuff out there that I've never heard it, but they say it surpasses the LP quality, you know. And I know friends that were tube amplifier guys. You know, they're young guys, and they're like miles ahead of me. Yeah, you got to get tube amp, man. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You know? I remember those old consoles all had tubes in them, and when they would go, you know, it'd be hard to replace them. You'd have to go down to like Troutman's drugstore used to have a selection, and you'd plug your old one in, you know, just to see for sure that it was dead, and they'd have a number there, and you'd open the cabinet, and oh yeah, here it is, you know, and you'd replace it. But these guys were real, true audiophiles. You know, anything that came out new, they were buying. Like when SACDs came out, you know, they were on top of that. They bought an SACD player, which you could play those on a regular compact disc player. But if you had the SA CD player, I guess, you know, the sound just went off the charts. So, you know, I don't know at this stage of the game that the sound quality is all that big of a factor, but people are catching on about how much nicer it does sound, you know, and how much fuller it is. But the big attractions, like you say, holding on to it and reading the liner notes, and, you know, oh man, I didn't know, you know, this guy was on, you know, Alice Cooper played on this album, and, you know, a lot of people don't know that stuff, you know, from getting CDs, and you certainly don't know it getting digital stuff.
Right.
No.
You don't know any of that stuff.
But I think one of the great things about the record is you put it on, close the lid, and you listen to the whole album. You don't skip. You can't go skip it. So you get a great appreciation for that album. I called Jim a few weeks ago, and listen, I've always thought the Beatles are great. But once you finally, like, just listen to every song on the album, you're like, man,
yeah, and
what an album.
You always go front to back.
Yeah.
You know, I can't ever remember even playing an A side and not the B side.
No, you just go flip it.
Play the whole album.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to get up. Big deal.
But you appreciate it more because you hear every song and how they put it together. I mean, it's a piece of art.
Yeah.
On both sides. And a lot of times how we are, skip that song. And I find it enjoyable. I think it sounds better. And so as long as I'm happy with where I'm spending my money, I'm sticking with records.
Yeah.
I think the artists were really in tune too at that time, where it was like we had Ron Book when you did the book show, when we talked about like having something that is filler and having something that is like telling a story chapter, you know, 1 to 10 versus really I just want you to hear chapter 3 because that's the single, and this other stuff that's on the album is just shit. Yeah,
right.
Whereas I think, you know, and I don't want to say like back in the day, but
you're going to.
But I'm going to. In a sense, back in the day, it was like it was put together. Like you put on a Led Zeppelin album, that's my go-to, right? I mean, I'm a Led Zeppelin guy. You put on a Led Zeppelin album, and it takes you on a journey from song 1 to song 10. It's taking you on this path. Whereas you put on something that's more contemporary, it seems like there's not a real structure to the way the music is laid out. Now, I'm sure they've said, oh, well, you know, maybe we'll put a fast one here and a slow one here, and we'll mix it up and we'll do whatever. But it doesn't seem like it takes me on a journey. Although some of the stuff you've recommended to me, some of those artists still take you on a journey, which is funny because I think a lot of those artists are now hip to vinyl and people are buying that experience again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're putting a little bit more of their heart and soul in it into writing an album again. You know, there was a period I could remember reading in Billboard magazine where artists were even questioning whether they wanted to make albums anymore because the thing to do in the day was just to listen to one song, the hit song. You know, and the kids didn't care about the rest of the album. So, you know, they were saying, you know, what's the sense, you know? And I think a lot of that came about from like Napster and
Yeah.
Whoever came along first that sold downloads, they would only buy the hit song off of the CD,
Well, I was in the store a couple weeks ago and bought the Pearl Jam 10, and that was back when I was in high school.
Yeah, what an album.
Yeah, but there was 3 or 4 songs that I would listen to all the time.
Right.
And not that any of the songs were bad, but you find the ones you like and you just kept listening to them. So you put it on the record.
Is that all right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Modern Methods.
Modern Methods, thank you.
But you listen to that album now, front to back on record, and
It's good.
songs that you might have skipped now are like, dude, that's a really good song.
Yeah.
Why did I skip it for 20 years?
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable.
I came home one evening from the record store, and this girl I was seeing at the time gave me a stereo system. Believe it or not, my shit was too big to set up in this little house I was living in during my divorce. I couldn't set up, my speakers are like the ones I have in the store, that size. So she gave me this really nice system, and I might have had a couple drinks. I'm not sure. But I put in David
Allegedly.
Bowie's Young Americans, and I forgot how solid that record was. And man, I played it, and I played it a second time, and I'm up dancing around, and I'm like, damn, this is a good album. But had I never heard that record on an LP as opposed to the CD, I don't think I would have been as thrilled hearing it again, even on the CD. It was just that solid of a record, and the dynamics are incredible. And I don't know if you know who the backup singer is on that.
I don't.
Luther.
Luther Vandross?
Yes.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
I would have never known that.
No, me neither.
Yeah. So it's a really good album. If Barry, if you're ever stuck, you don't know what to get, grab that record, and you'll be sitting down listening to it, saying, "Man, that Jeff Burke knows his shit."
He does. Yes, he does.
For sure. Well, that's a funny thing. I just was recently listening to something, and I went back, and I must have been looking at the notes, and David Bowie is a backup singer on someone else's album. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. It was like a real popular song, and I was like, holy shit. I actually told Renee, I think that's David Bowie, and I went and looked it up. I don't remember what the song is now. So the story's kind of pointless, but the guy was pretty amazing.
There might have been something with Lou Reed, perhaps.
No, it was.
Didn't you do something with Queen too?
Well, they did do
Under Pressure.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. It was something else. I can't remember what it was. I'll have to think about it. You talked about, we talked about kind of Napster for a second, but we also kind of talked about beforehand the artists and how they make their money and how that has changed and how that's kind of changed the industry. Napster changed the industry. This idea of streaming changed the industry. Whereas before, when you bought an album or a CD or a cassette, the artists or the group got, say you bought it for $10, they might get $2,
right?
From that, versus this idea of streaming or downloading where they're getting pennies on the dollar if they're lucky. Some of them it's fractions of a cent, and a lot of these artists are making their money not on royalties and on record sales, but they're making them on the tour, or they're making them on merch. Yeah. Has that changed the way that you approach selling the music or the way that you bring it in?
Well, inventory is a difficult thing to figure out now. It's not like the old days where things were so automatic. We could bring in box lots, of any new Zeppelin album, any Stones, any Beatles, any Sheryl Crow album, it didn't matter. We'd buy the box lots, Kiss albums. I can remember having midnight sales. So the approach now is we buy a few pieces because we're not sure that they're going to sell. It's unfortunate. I think the glory days are probably over, pretty much for the physical product. I've got friends my age. They whip out their phones and they'll say, I don't know how you do it anymore. I got everything I need right here in my hip pocket. I tell them, so not everybody wants to hear their music the way you want to hear it.
Right.
So buying music is a lot tougher right now. People approach me and they say, would you like to sell this store? And I said, yeah, if the price was right, I would like to sell the store. However, I don't think you could make it. I'm perfectly honest with them, and I wouldn't feel real good about peddling that store to somebody and see them busted, a year later. I mean, flat broke, lost in the shuffle. The distributor will take your eyes out if you let them. Now, nobody trusts the next guy in the record business, in the music business, I should say. So they're going to beat you if they can. They'll get you all day long, if you let them. You kind of have to really be on your best game in the record business now. So stocking the store is a lot more difficult. There's a lot of new music out there, too, that a guy like me just isn't exposed to. I'm old now. I mean, I catch on to some stuff. I still read Billboard. Matter of fact, we're, 40 years later, we're still getting Billboard magazine. And every time I have to renew, I call up and I say, hey, when do I get a free subscription? I started in 1980, and you guys have thinned this thing out, and now they only release it instead of 52 weeks a year. It's only like 36. So I thought I was getting a hell of a deal on a subscription. Oh, yeah, I'll take the 2-year. Look at how cheap it is. Well, now I know why. It only comes out like 3 weeks this month and that month, and then maybe 2 issues in another 2 or 3 months. So it's kind of messed up. But we used to follow that, for information to see what was really selling. However, that's become confusing now because in the Hot 200 best-selling albums, they incorporate the downloads into that number. So if you're a new person, you're going to look at that, and Lady Gaga's got the #1 album again, 6th #1 album she's put out, and she's talented.
Sure.
I'm not going to say anything bad. I mean, that girl is talented. But ask me how many record albums I sold. 3.
Okay, I was going to say 0.
Yeah, we only brought 5 in. We only sold 3 of the 5 so far.
Do you plan on those sales? Do you ever look at like the attendance of those concerts? Like, man, Dave Matthews, I mean, I'm kind of dating myself, but Dave Matthews always had like sellout concerts. He was always touring. He made a lot of money on tour.
Oh yeah.
Does that translate those dates that they're selling, the big touring acts, do those translate into record sales?
Sometime, Jim. A big tour, I would say, like if Pink Floyd would reunite.
Oh, please.
They'd be running into that store again to buy, Dark Side of the Moon CD or, whatever. I mean, Animals, or buying the albums. And we do sell a lot of their stuff still, on CD and on LP record, but not everybody. They'll buy records at the concerts now. Some of these bands have their records for sale at the concert, and they're not any cheaper than what we sell them for. But, it's just another, it's kind of I look at it as another whack at our end. There's like, we have no protection, Everybody and their brother can sell music. And the labels operate some direct-to-consumer sites too, and people don't know that they're really buying it from the record label. So what ticks me off would be I would have to give them X amount of dollars worth of business a year.
Okay.
Or they cut you off. You, the consumer, can buy one record for, whatever price, and they give you free shipping, but we got to pay freight. They're messed up. Mm-hmm. They're really messed up.
It doesn't make sense.
And really, you guys, your kind of stores are like the ambassadors of music.
You bet. Just look at Record Store Day turnouts. I mean, it's incredible. There's 1 million records roughly being sold in one day on Record Store Day.
Tell the listeners that don't necessarily know what that is, what Record Store Day is and why it's so important, and specifically like some of the bands that you've brought in to perform at your store.
Okay, Record Store Day is now an international event that started 13 years ago, I believe. It's a celebration of independent stores. Basically, the brainchild of two people by the name of Kerry Colleton and Michael Kurtz. And I think they stole the idea from Comic Book Store Day, or got the idea. And they approached labels and artists, musicians, and everybody was in agreement. Yeah, you know what? This is a great idea, and we need to support these stores. So, we've had the support from the big people in the business. So every year, the third Saturday in April is when Record Store Day happens. And what happens with the product that day is we get all this limited LP records. Sometimes there's CDs, sometimes there's even a few cassettes. We get all this limited product that nobody else gets. You have to be an independent store, first of all, to participate. Then you have to be a pledged seller of the Record Store Day product as well, and you have to abide by their rules. So it's been a giant renaissance, actually, for stores like mine that kind of do it the right way. They painted a picture like they want, celebrations, and a party, So in my 40 years of running that store, in the old days, we were masters at throwing parties. And I mean masters. If you would have came to those Christmas parties, you guys really missed some fun.
Ludes, man, ludes.
I can't remember Ludes being there.
Let's just throw a Christmas party this year there.
People, in the back of my mind, I keep thinking about resurrecting that Christmas party.
You should.
But minus a few things.
We'll help.
Some of the enhancements, definitely we won't do. But... what we've tried to do with Record Store Day is, of course, put on the big celebration, and I'm proud to participate in it. I mean, it's something that, I feel like one time a year, twice a year now, because they added a little sister event in November. Twice a year, we kind of get rewarded for all the hard work we've done, and...
Yeah.
You get international press. I mean, there were stories in USA Today and on the Today Show and, every news agency under the sun. And, we've gone a step further. And what we try to do, and most stores my size don't do it, is, of course, food, beverages, and we always have entertainment. So what we really like to do is bring the... local artists in that cut a new album or a new CD and let them come and support their effort. So we've had Radio Lark, we've had Demos more than any local guy. We've had the Vindies, we had White Buffalo Woman out of the Canton area. We had, let me think, who am I missing here?
Well, you've had some big name people perform too, though.
Yeah, the biggest, we had Angela Purley from Columbus. The big attraction that we were able to have play at our Record Store Day was the Foo Fighters in 2015. Now, a lot of people don't know when they come to that McKinley Heights Plaza, which is what it used to be called. It's called Pine Tree Square now. That exactly where the Dollar Tree is now is where the Foo Fighters played in 2015. So we get a big kick out of saying, look at all them people down there that have no clue. They're standing right where Dave Grohl was, belting it out, in 2015 in April here. And some people still don't believe it. And I show them, we have a big banner in the store that has the date and, Record Connection welcomes the Foo Fighters. And it's all autographed by the Foo Fighters, too. We mailed the banner back. Maybe I better back up and talk about the banner for a minute. We hung it up behind the band, actually, and said Record Connection welcomes the Foo Fighters to Record Store Day 2015. So after the show, I went backstage and, hung out with the Foo Fighters for a little bit. And, Dave Grohl was thanking me up and down, and it shook my hand at least 5-10 times and giving me a hug. And chest bump, and he said, man, thanks for putting this together. And I'm like, what? I just did what I was told. So anyway, he says, man, the banner was a real nice touch. And I said, oh, there's a story behind that banner. He said, oh, yeah? I said, yeah, I sent to Canada to have it made. He looks at me and he says, you're a regular fucking James Bond, you know that? So, I ask, is there a chance we can get this thing signed? And all the people that were associated with the Foo Fighters, from their top management people, the guy that owns the agency, the guy that produced Sound City and Sonic Highways, road manager, tour manager, video guys, they were all there. All these office people, they all came out for that event. And you couldn't have met nicer people, right. Down to earth, and I mean genuine people.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, they were so cool. So Dave says, well, get it back to the office. Well, there was a girl there that we did a lot of work with by the name of Kristen Welsh. And, she was like our liaison for the whole thing. And I called her up and I said, hey, can we mail this thing back and have the boys sign it? I said, but what I'd really like is for them to put some, they're comical as heck. Put something funny on it. But they just signed it. I wanted to put some kind of jokes on. I don't know. Did you ever see the poster that they made for us for that event?
If I did, I don't recall it right
hilarious.
now. Yeah.
It got all kind of crazy shit on there, even like farts and stuff, I mean, and I know this Kristen had to be behind it, but they had 300 T-shirts made, special event T-shirts for us, and it's got that alien logo on the front of the shirt that glows in the dark, and then they put our logo on the back of the T-shirt. They gave us those, and we raised the money. We sold them for charity, actually, and they did the posters for free. They did the concert for free. They brought in the stage, the sound, these gigantic, the hell you call them, generators. They come in on the back of a flatbed truck, 2 of them, Caterpillar generators, that the tires were probably as big as the windows at the record store. And I'm like, man, they're going to blow the roof off of this place. And they set them up out back. They weren't. They must not have been happy with the picture of the electrical box when I took it, and sent it over to them. So, here comes this thing and shows up, and he said, this is for Record Connection. I said, well, this is Record Connection. He says, well, where do you want them? I said, I don't have any clue, where you're supposed to put them. But luckily there was people around, like the stage guy was already there. So, they got that all under control. But it was really, really something. The truck came with the equipment, for example, and I still have the manifest. And it has the store name on it and the Foo Fighters names on there, with their address and stuff. And I also found a contract. Dave and Rami Jaffe, the keyboard player, came in on Harleys that day. And Rami left the contract for the Harley rental behind. So we had saw the Foo Fighters later on that year, and we got to go back and hang out with him. And I said, hey, I have that contract for the rental on the Harley. And he said, don't worry about it. Dave paid for it anyway. Just keep it. He said, hang it up in your store. I said, well, I was hoping you would say that. So, but they were the coolest people, man. And then from the Foo Fighters coming there, when Joe Walsh came to Warren.
That was a great show.
Killer concert.
Yeah.
At the W.D. Packard Music Hall.
Yeah, I got to go the first night. I had a wedding to play, for the Friday night show, I think, so I couldn't make that. But anyway, I'm feeling pretty ballsy now. We had the Foo Fighters at our store, so let me call up Joe's management. So I find out who, I kind of already knew. It's Irving.
Did you know him through Kent? Was there a connection there? Or?
No, I never. I saw Joe years ago when he had a band called the Measles in Kent, and he played with some guys in that band that I knew. But I never met Joe personally.
Okay.
So I'll call up the agency, which is, maybe you guys know this name, Irving Azoff.
No.
Look it up someday.
Okay.
A giant in the music business, giant. Live Nation,
Oh, yeah.
Irving Azoff. The Eagles, Irving Azoff. Madison Square Garden, Irving Azoff. Big time. So anyway, I call this office, and I don't know until they answer the phone, Irving Azoff's office. And the girl said, can I help you? And I said, yes. I'd like to know who represents Joe Walsh. Oh, okay, that'll be Noah Weiss is his name. Nice Jewish kid. And I'll get him for you. So he comes to the phone, and I tell him who I am and, what I have in mind. Joe's playing the next city over on Friday night, and we'd like to see if we could arrange an in-store signing. And he said, well, what do you got in mind? I said, well, we'd like to just open the doors to customers here at the record store and have Joe come in and, autograph some stuff and, maybe get some pictures. He says, pictures of who? I said, pictures of me. Who do you think? So he starts laughing. And, I knew I had this guy at that point. He says, let me tell you something. It turns out he's from Oberlin, Ohio, too. So, these Ohio connections.
Probably helped, yeah.
Yeah. We got the Foo Fighters with the help of a kid in that Hollywood office that's from Cincinnati and knew something about my store. And he says, I think it's still thriving, So the Ohio connection really paid off. So anyway, he tells me we're 95% sure that Joe's going to do it. But what I don't know, and Andy Gray was the one that found this out actually in his interview, was while I'm talking to Azoff's office, Joe Walsh is on the phone talking to Dave Grohl about the Record Store Day event. And
Checking you out?
Yeah, Dave Grohl, according to what Andy told me, gave such a great review on how everything was handled, and this guy's really organized, and anything we asked him to do, he got done like pronto, and his event was as tight as you could be, because they've had a lot of problems at those small concerts, line jumpers, riots, just all kind of trouble, windows getting busted out at places. And we told him there won't be any bullshit at our event, so he gave me this great recommendation. And about a week later, Weiss calls back from Azoff's office, and he said, Joe's going to do it. So we set it all up. We met Joe's road manager and Joe's wife, who is one of the Bach sisters. Ringo's wife is a Bach, Barbara Bach.
Oh.
And Joe's married to her sister, Marjorie. So they show up in the tour bus. I swear it was as big as the plaza. This thing rolls in, and, I have a picture on my Facebook. I look like Adam Ant next to that thing, that monstrous tour bus. So, they come in and check everything out, and, Marjorie tells me, we're huge supporters of independent record stores, and, anything we could do to help. And I said, well, this is as big as help as I think, you could ever give us. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, unless you want to break out the checkbook, that might help too. So we got it done, and Joey even talked about it Friday night when, if you can go on YouTube, actually, all those songs that he performed are all up there. And, he talks a couple times about the record store and his visit there. And at one point he says, we thought we were going to just meet a few of Jeff's friends, but he invited way too many people or something like that.
I think we were at that concert.
Yeah.
The Friday night one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he ended up having a second date. They ended up having so much demand for Joe that they brought him back. And I'm sure he was like super down to earth too.
Oh,
he
man.
seems like didn't you, like, you kind of got to be friendly with him a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Since then, we've gone to so many Joe Walsh shows or Eagles shows, or we even went to the Classic East concert. Did you hear about that a few years back? It was a 2-night event at Citi Field in New York where the Mets play. And the first night was the Doobie Brothers, Steely Dan, and then the Eagles. And the second night was Earth, Wind, and Fire, Journey, and Fleetwood Mac. But we got Joe comped us
Pretty nice
tickets.
lineup.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was billed as 6 bands, 2 nights, 1 place or something. You know, it was kind of like the catchphrase. So when I saw Joe in Pittsburgh, I think it may have been when he opened for Tom Petty. I said, any chance you can help us out with some tickets for the Classic E show? You know, my buddy and I would really like to go. Yeah, man, he said, tell Smokey. So I tell Smokey what he told me. Smokey's the road manager. He says, that's what he said, right? I said, that's exactly what he told me. Smokey sends me a text message. Tickets will be at the box office under your name. And I'm thinking, well, we just pay the bill when we get there. Free.
No shit.
$499 face value tickets.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Blew me away. So we've gone to a lot of shows, actually, courtesy of Joe. Some of the Eagles shows, no, but we get great seats. You know, Smokey hooked us up with the agency, so we just call it in, and you know, to Hollywood, and this girl like, oh yeah, Jeff, hey, how you doing? You going again, huh? Yeah. You know, I'm nuts. You know, so yeah, I'll keep.
I'm gonna
going.
ride this train till it comes to a halt.
Yeah, we saw him in Atlanta not too long ago. We saw him in Las Vegas. So we saw the Hotel California show now, I think 3 times. You know, and I think that's probably the last hurrah.
Well, I think it's really cool, like these stories, because a lot of people don't know. Sometimes you hear about, you know, just recently people were talking about like Michael Jordan with The Last Dance, and you know, maybe he had some personality that was a little bit too aggressive for people, or he was whatever. But like a lot of these guys that are big name guys like Joe or like Dave, they're normal, like salt of the earth type dudes.
Oh yeah.
You know, we're on Dave Grohl Alley, so, and when they first did the alley, we were one of the sponsors of the concert, and so we shot the concert, and you know, and I met Dave and at the log cabin, and he was very cool. And I try not to say too much because I don't want to be like one of these like
fanboys,
like star fuckers, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're so awesome. You know, that's how I feel inside, but I try to keep it cool, you know.
Yeah.
like, hey man.
Yeah, right. And so that was whenever that was, and then probably, you know, at the same time as was that the same year? Was 2015 the year that Dave broke his leg?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he might have been in town for that or for whatever he was. And our parking deck's on Dave Grohl Alley. I park my car. I come down the deck, and I'm on the phone. I might have been on the phone with you. Yeah.
Yes.
I was on the phone with Barry. And here's Dave Grohl just walking down his alley, Dave Grohl Alley.
And I thought he was bullshitting me.
And I'm like, dude, I gotta go, man. I'll call you right back. And I'm like, you know, again, you don't want to be like this fanboy. That's better probably termed than starfucker. So I'm like,
Stone's got a song called Starfucker.
So I'm like, Dave, how's it going, man? And he was so cool. And we walked down the alley, and I was hot, you know, trying to small talk. I'm like, how's your leg, and blah blah blah. And he was like, yeah, man, it's cool. And you know, he was with his daughter. I don't want to take too much of his time, but he was walking the same direction. The door was, you know, he was walking towards. He was looking at his art. There's all these paintings back here of him. And I said, no one's gonna. In my head, I didn't say this to him. In my head, I was like, no one's gonna believe that I ran into Dave Grohl and spent, you know, a couple minutes walking down the alley, just bullshitting with him. I go, hey man, I don't want to be that guy. And I blamed it on my wife. I go, I don't want to be that guy, but my wife is not going to fucking believe I ran into you. And he was like, selfie, come on, dude, let's do it, man. He was just like such a cool guy. We took pictures, and he actually has, Barry and I, Barry came up with a story for a movie years ago called East Side Irish, and a group of us wrote the script, and we had t-shirts made. We were in the process of trying to develop that, and we gave Dave a t-shirt for when he was here doing the concert. You know, he did a concert on Courthouse Square.
Yeah, I was here.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm the first one that he shook hands with coming out of that log cabin. I strategically went. I didn't know he was back there.
You placed yourself.
I'm thinking, man, I don't want to be by all that crowd, and so I just went, as far as the cops would let me go, and I just stopped.
Yeah, he was just super
he
cool. He's just like he's a down to earth cool guy.
He is a really
he's
cool
like a real guy.
Yeah.
Any other in your concert travels meeting, these famous artists? Anybody else that was like super cool that you think is important to give them some praise?
I shook hands with all the Stones, but they're a little standoffish. I think we had like an all-access pass to the Voodoo Lounge tour.
Oh, that's cool.
And they told us if the Stones come around, don't approach them. As a matter of fact, if you're backstage and they come up on the stage, you're to go the opposite direction. But, if they come up and talk to you, it's okay. There's rules. So I never did get to see them on that tour, but I think on the Bridges to Babylon tour, we had seats on the runway that goes out to the small stage, and we were right there when they came down, high five or a handshake from every one of them.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times now. We had those key location seats. But I met years ago David Lee Roth, God, I'm trying to think.
Did David Lee Roth play at the Rib Burn Off? Was he over here?
No, he played at Packard.
Oh, he played at Packard.
Yeah.
It was the Skyscraper tour, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. I vaguely kind of remember maybe. I have a funny story. I don't want to step on your dick, as they say.
That's quite all right.
He's stepping.
I'm stepping. Because this is like, I've told this story multiple times. People are like, you're a fucking idiot. I met, I used to work at Mollica's Catering in Niles.
Yeah.
It's now Seminaros.
I remember when you worked there.
You do?
Hell yeah.
Really?
I've been doing DJ work almost as long as I had that record store.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You remembered when we worked? No shit.
Yep.
DJ my wedding.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Jeff's been around the block.
Yeah.
And
so,
then some.
I almost said Janis Joplin. Joan Jett was staying at the hotel down here, the hotel motel Holiday Inn, the
on
Regency.
422.
I think it was called the Hotel Regency. Yeah, on 422, and we catered the band Mollica's. They got so we went. Now I don't know. I knew who Joan Jett was, but I didn't know like the Runaways and like all that super cool shit. Okay, and I didn't know what her orientation necessarily was. So I'm 16 or 17. I think I was 17 at the time. And we deliver the food and we're hanging out. I don't know why we were hanging out, but we ended up hanging out with the band in their hotel room with Joan Jett. And as close as, and I'm not a bad looking guy. And she gravitates.
You're handsome.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. She gravitates towards me and she's like, "Do you want a beer?" And I was like 17. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want a beer. I'll fucking drink all your beer that you have. So I end up drinking a beer, and I was an athlete, and I didn't smoke at the time, although I had a girlfriend that kind of smoked. That's another story. And Joan Jett goes outside and smoking cigarettes, and we're drinking beer in the back of the hotel. And I'm thinking,
It's cool as hell.
It's cool as hell, and she's rapping with me, okay? And I'm like, I'm smoking cigarettes and drinking beer with Joan Jett, and she's like, so, like, what do what do you go to school? And I'm like, yeah, and I don't want to tell her I'm in fucking high school, okay? But I'm like, yeah, I go to school, and I was one of those guys that developed a little bit of stubble early. And she goes, do you want to go, are you going to the concert? Because she was playing at the Rib Burn Off.
Yeah.
And I said, actually, no, I'm not. She goes, oh, do you want to go? I was like, yeah, man, yeah, I'd love to go. So she gets us tickets and things or whatever, and she's like, well, come see us at the show. And I'm feeling like, and Joan Jett's hot, man.
Yeah.
Like she's a fox. And I'm thinking
You're
to
getting
myself,
lucky.
bro. And I still remember I was telling Jolene Consiglio afterwards. I go, she goes, hey, you're really rapping with Joan Jett. I go, she gave us passes to the show, and she wants to tell us to come backstage afterwards. I said, yo, I think like, I was
I
like,
got a
kinda-
shot.
connection.
yeah.
Man, I got
said,
a shot.
I think Joan Jett's like into me, and she goes, this is how naive and stupid I am. She goes, you're not on the right team. And I go, and I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I go, well, what do you mean? She goes, yeah, she's not into you. You're not the right, you're not the right type. You're not her type. And I said, I don't know, man. She was like really into me. She goes, you're not on the right team. And then it hit me. I'm like,
Wrong equipment, buddy.
yeah.
Oh.
I go, dude, is Joan Jett into? She likes girls. She's like, yeah, dummy. She just thought you were cool or whatever.
Yeah.
She's not into you. So I didn't go to the concert.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, I didn't.
No, you should have went.
I probably should have.
Sorry, Joan.
Yeah, but you know what? The reason I didn't go is because there was a chick that was into me at that particular time, and she wasn't into the Joan Jett concert, so I went to that. But a lot of cool acts that have come through here. A lot of really great local acts that have developed here in this area, and you brought up a bunch of them. The Vindies, Demos Papademus, who else did you talk about? Radio Lark,
yeah.
And some other guys. And that's another cool thing I want to kind of like shine the light on you, because not only are you catering to the Foo Fighters and the Joe Walshes of the world, but your store is ultra supportive of the indie artists, of the local guys or the regional guys who are like, they're trying to put their stuff out and they're trying to get their music out there. My uncle, the late great Frank Castellano, he came out with his album, and you were one of the first guys locally to say, yeah, bring it up here and let's put it for sale. So I appreciate that.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, and I appreciate on behalf of all like the local artists that have played in the area and that make albums, and you carry them. I think that's like really cool, because you're not going to Walmart or Best Buy or establishing a relationship. There's not many of those stores left, and you've always welcomed those guys, especially like Demos. I know Demos, and you have a relationship and stuff, and so
Yeah, long time.
yeah, I think that's really cool, man. And I
Yeah,
hope,
well, it goes way back to CD 106 used to do like a local thing. They even made a CD, and we were like sponsors on that, and anything that we could do to help out local guys, which only makes sense. I'm a local guy, and if it weren't for Barry, Jim Fogarty, Jimmy Coates was a big customer of ours, all along. But he's probably high tech now, Don't see Jimmy coming in buying CDs too
Coach,
much
you
anymore.
better get over there and get some
Yeah.
vinyl, man.
Everybody made that store what it is, You might as well say that everybody went hand in hand with what I had in mind, So we always want to be a part of the indie scene. Unfortunately, it's kind of tough to get the reciprocation from a lot of the local artists. You're out pushing their product, but then, how are they helping you? Are they sharing your stuff? Unfortunately, I say no most of the time, except if we invite them to Record Store Day. Yeah, then they're all over it, But they have to learn that networking is so key in what we do, and we're all in the same business.
Right.
So don't think because you share Jeff Burke's promotion, it's going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to help you.
Right.
Yeah.
My list may be 2 or 3 times bigger than what yours is. So how's it going to hurt you? So the networking is so important, and there's only a few of the local artists that really get it. Sometime, I don't know, I could probably manage or school a lot of these local musicians, because they got other things that, they're artsy, and, they don't think like a business person.
Right.
Yeah.
We understand that. Trust us.
Yeah. So, and it kind of bums me out a little bit sometime that they don't have better business sense. I mean, you want to do everything you can. In the old days, when we were trying to build that store, we got the word out immediately that we would special order. None of the other stores wanted to be bothered with it. I'm like, shit, I'll take that all day long. You know, we write a sale, take a deposit. They're coming back. We got a little bit of their money.
Right.
Or we would, we were masters at guerrilla marketing. So we would call it, we were going to wallpaper the town. So we'd get like 20,000 flyers made up. And those would be on windshields everywhere. I mean, we would even go into the mall parking lot, you know, until we got caught. They'd boot you off. And sometimes they'd say, now go back and take all the flyers off. Screw you, you go take them off, man. We just left 3,000 flyers there. You know, all the schools, we would hit the schools and any parking lot, you know, we'd have these midnight sales I mentioned earlier, you know, and sometime the record labels would even call us up and say, hey, you know, thanks a lot for your support. You know, according to your numbers from your one-stop, the one-stops were the distributors back then, you guys had bought like 900 pieces of Pearl Jam Vitology, and the next closest store would have been like, number-wise, was like Oasis. So we kick Oasis' ass, you know, because we put together a great midnight sale. We had all these, dare I say, bootlegs. You know, we had all these like door prizes and stuff, you know. But, you know, we were just good at that kind of stuff. The marketing really developed over time, and, you know, we got real good at promoting. And, you know, sometimes I think that's one of the problems lacking with this local music scene. And trust me, there was a great music scene when I was growing up here. Unfortunately, we were a small market. Nobody was paying attention to what was going on, but there were some great bands. Mm-hmm. I saw the same thing happening around here again in the Valley. Mm-hmm. I mean, all these good musicians and great bands in this area, but they're not out there beating the pavement constantly, you know. It's not going to happen like this, and it's not going to happen by you sitting on your ass.
Right.
You got to get out and work. And I mean, you got to be promoting and you know, getting your name in the newspaper and, you know, having the Business Journal do a story on you, you know, which is something I think that saved our butts coming out of the lockdown. You know, we had Labra Brothers actually did a really nice step up to help the Record Connection event. You know, they sold their record, which they were going to release at Record Store Day because they were going to be the featured band. So the first day of the promotion, they released the album on Record Store Day. So they want to give the percentage back to the store to help us out. I'm not going to take the money. We're going to find something else to give that money to. You know, we'll come up with something, and maybe at Record Store Day in August, we'll have a jar out there, you know, just drop $1 in it, and, you know, we'll give the money to the rescue mission, or, you know, what's the big food thing?
Second
Harvest. Yeah. I think there's bigger and better things. You know, yeah, it was a struggle for me, but I'm not hurting, you know, and that was a great gesture for them. And, you know, they got me coverage on 27 News, and Guy did a story, you know, from the Business Journal. The Tribune did a front page story. How about this one? I asked the old man, you see that article in the newspaper yesterday? No. I said, it was front page, Frank. And how about this? It says, thanks for your business in the headline, and the first 2 words are Jeff Burke. How'd you miss that?
And it was all over Facebook, too. I mean, people were sharing that article everywhere.
Yeah. So I really think that was one of the big keys when we reopened. The people were coming like it was numbers that were comparable to what we might have done the week before Christmas. And they just kept coming and coming.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it was really
So Record Day's rescheduled for August?
Yeah, there's 3 now, Barry. They're calling it RSD drops. A drop is a release date or street date. So August 29th is the first one. Then there'll be one in September, one in October. And then, of course, Black Friday comes along after that. Not feeling real comfortable with it because it seems to me they've watered it down too much, and it may lose the feel of an event, and they're downplaying it like, yeah, it's a release date, Wrong approach, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I would have been happier if they would have done it 4 Saturdays in August. Just do it every week, kind of keep it. But to spread it out over 90 days, I'm a little bit concerned, and it's a lot of product to buy. Initially, for the April event, we had spent like $35,000 for the product.
Holy smokes.
For one day. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, it's kind of a scary thing, when you think about it, And my problem has always been, not only do I get all stressed out, then I start worrying about, what if nobody comes? Just like in 2015. This is honest God story too. I'm so worked up, I ain't going to open the store. Now keep in mind, 2015
This is the Foo Fighters.
is the year the Foo Fighters came, yeah. So I dropped down on my knees. I prayed again, and like all of a sudden, like a light went on in my head, and I jumped up and I said, "You jackass, the Foo Fighters are coming to your store. Get down there and open that place up, man." So, it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I got there, and there was people all over the place. I mean, there was probably already 200 to 300 people on the property.
That early.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really something. It wasn't even daylight yet, and there was all these people all over the place. But, it's that kind of an event where it can really weigh on you mentally. And, you're thinking, if it's a bust, you got to pay for this stuff because they don't take anything back in the record business anymore. They won't even take defective albums back. If you come in with a warped record, Jeff, this thing's flopping around like a fish on my turntable, I'm going to bite the bullet and give you another one. I don't want to lose a customer. They could give a shit.
No kidding. They don't compensate you for that?
No.
Wow.
They're terrible. They're really, really pricks anymore. And I keep saying this over and over again. It's because there's no record people left in the record industry. So that's why, it's all accountants, counselors, lawyers, whatever, and all they think about is that bottom line.
Yeah, right. No artists.
And, back in my day when I got in there, it was about having fun, and having, a great business. Think about it, back in my day. Record business was really fun.
Yeah, I kind of want to take the time machine back.
Yeah. You'd have a blast.
I want to go to 106 where they had that drawer they opened up, where they had the lewds and the cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Combined.
Hey, we were there one night, and the girl said, "Why don't you guys hang around?" Now, this was when they were in the Statler office tower. "Why don't you guys hang around? Kid Leo's bringing in some new band by the name of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band." I'm like, yeah, well, okay. Why not?
Wow.
Yeah, how about that one?
Jeff, where can listeners find your product to buy, like things to sell online, and where can they find you otherwise if they wanted to get in contact with you?
All right, the physical store is at 32 Youngstown Warren Road, which is 422 in McKinley Heights, or Niles, Ohio. If you know the Niles Girard line, that's right where we're at. I have a small presence on Discogs under Jeff Mann's Music Emporium. Years ago, this buddy of mine nicknamed me Jeff Man. I don't know where he got it from, so it kind of stuck.
He's like, "Jeff, man."
Yeah. Hey, Jeff Man. So it's Jeff Mann's Music Emporium on Discogs.
Discogs?
Yeah,
like
Discogs. It's Discogs.
Okay, Discogs.
It's a big site, and they're a lot more reasonable for me to sell there than on Amazon. And of course, we are on Amazon under Record Connection. So,
do you have a website?
Not yet. Well, I do have a website. The business department at YSU did a free website for me, However, I've not activated it only because I'm worried about if things would really start picking up. How am I going to do it? I got a small area. I got to ship from the counter, pack from the counter, whatever. I just don't have the dedicated shipping area. So
you got to get that website activated.
Well,
let's get that thing going.
It troubles me a little bit, though. If it really took off, there goes my credibility.
Demand,
my credibility's gone.
Yeah. How about Facebook?
I am on Facebook. We actually have a very successful Facebook page, and that's where we generate most of our activities. When new releases come out, I take pictures, and we call it the stacks of wax. So, I'm constantly adding to it. Like I put pictures up today of the stuff that came in.
And I need to unfollow you because you put that all up. I'm like, ooh, look at that.
Yeah, well, this buddy of mine is principal at Springfield Local, and he calls up and he says, "Damn it, you did it again." He said, "Put that Neil Young aside for me, and I'll take that Smashing Pumpkins album too." And I said, "Too late. The Pumpkins album is gone, man." Got scarfed up. So it's been really effective, and it was just something that popped into my head one day. Hey, we can try to sell records this way. The stacks of wax.
Come on, Jeff, man. Let me get that Pumpkins album.
Yeah, we'll get you one. Don't worry. It'll be in the next order.
Jeff, I appreciate, and Barry and I both in the podcast appreciates you coming and spend some time with us today.
That was great.
Great time.
Yeah, we had a great time. We probably could have made this episode like another hour and a half, but
we got to plan the Christmas party.
Yeah. Man.
Right. As soon as we sign off, we have to plan that Christmas party, and we had to get that DJ from 106 to find that drawer, wherever that drawer was at, and open that bad boy back up.
Those were some humdinger parties.
Come back on with us again, yeah?
All right, I'd be glad to. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, maybe we could talk about some of those parties, things, and some of the stories.
Yeah, this head's full of stories, believe me.
I bet. Well, thanks for the tutorial about the vinyl and taking care of some of that stuff. I know there were some listeners that were interested. We announced that you were coming on, and they had, made some comments about being interested in that stuff. And so until the next time, you can find us at theprodcast.net, where you can sign up for free giveaways. We want to thank Brandon Giovanni from MDI Studios, who powers that site, theprodcast.net. If you're going to listen to great music, if you have modern methods, that's one way. Another way is if you really want to get charged up and amplified, you can visit biohacktomorrow.com and get yourself some Nerf 1 or Nerf 2 activators or some Axio, which I'm about to jack in right now, and then throw Led Zeppelin 4 on as I travel home. Jeff, thanks again for coming back.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Coming.
Great time.
Until the next time, prodders, stay electrified and be cool.